Moral precepts of the sanctified. People, Buddhists at the present, are almost all wrong about observing and abiding by the moral precepts. What most of us are doing is only letting oneself to adhere to habits and practices without any remuneration whatsoever about the reasons for why one must do them. During religious ceremonies, when the monks chant the 5 precepts or perform the ritual of samathan scene, acceptance of the 5 precepts, when the chanting reaches the part where they fail to observe, practice, or keep, the people usually look down, try to avoid eye contact with the monks. Yet, when the chanting reaches the parts where they can keep and practice very well, the people will say them out loud and become very prideful with themselves. All of the sudden, they have the moral high ground and think, I am good with the scene. It is easy for me to do on and on. This is wrong. However, all of the things mentioned should be considered wrong and misguided. These are the embodiment of Silap Padbramat, or adhering only to habits and practices without any thinking whatsoever. It is prat, or mere routines. It is a very wrong way to practice Buddhism because it largely contradicts the original purposes and intention of Buddha. Buddha taught about 5 precepts, 8 precepts, 227 precepts, 331 precepts on various occasions. Unfortunately, it is very sad that not so many people can observe them and come to the understanding as they were originally intended by Buddha. If all Buddhists study and deliberate on the moral precepts or come to understand them as originally intended, abiding by them or being in scene will not be difficult. However, if we observe moral precepts simply because they constitute the religious doctrines endorsed by Buddha, then our acts of complying with the precepts will only be broken and incomplete. People will only want to ask and wish for good luck and fortune without actually abiding by the rules and work their ways toward them. Buddha originally laid down the religious rules and moral precepts in order to direct how we can all live together peacefully and harmoniously. There were no rules or moral precepts aimed at making the people living beautifully or to make bad luck go away or to extend good destiny or to bring good luck or to make someone recover from illnesses and bad health or to strengthen one's power and prestige or to chase away bad luck and bad karma. There was nothing of the sort originally. Yet, unfortunately, these have somehow become the main purpose for why the majority of us Buddhists must observe the moral precepts. The original and noble intentions of Buddha, therefore, have become misplaced, if not entirely forgotten. It is time for us to look deeper and discern the true and original intentions of Buddha regarding the moral precepts. According to Buddha, a moral precept or scene in Pali means normal. However, today people misunderstand the word and are mistaken to think that normally we must observe moral precepts. But that is totally wrong. It is not about how we normally have to observe moral precepts, but scene, which is a word originally from the Magadha language, only means normal or still. It does not mean one has to normally observe and comply with the moral precepts. As for Pokati, the word has the same original meaning as Santi, which is still and peacefulness. Something or somewhere is peaceful because it is not in chaos. There is no clamor and no outcry because no one is suffering from being bothered, exploited, or molested. If there is no exploitation or molestation against a person, both internally and externally, between individuals, between families, between societies, between countries, or between souls after death, if there is no exploitation or molestation of any kind between one person and another, then there will not be any chaos. There will not exist any outcry of pain or suffering. When there is no chaos, no confusion, nor disorder, there will be stillness. And in stillness, we have peacefulness. And in peacefulness, we have normalcy. Normalcy is seen in the Magadha language. Hence, everything normal in the world constitutes seen. It only depends on whether we violate that normalcy or let it be. In fact, every scene is intrinsically let be all along. It is there. It is normal. It does not concern itself with or over anything. That is the nature of seeing. People often claim they will observe 5 moral precepts, 8 moral precepts, 10 moral precepts, 227 moral precepts, 331 moral precepts. However, in their hearts, there are still the desires to exploit and to get something at the expense of others all the time. The prime example of this is Theosinjinje, or participating in the annual Chinese vegetarian festival. This example is not mentioned because the author opposes the festival. It is not to say that the festival is wrong. What the author wants to condemn, however, is how people often ask vegetarian monks that whether the fact that the monks have been vegetarian for over 10 years and possess many merits and virtues helps them to reach nirvana by getting past all the pains and sufferings. The monks often reply that jinjai, or eating vegetarian food, is basically stopping taking lives or exploiting other living things. However, if one only pays attention to the external image of I am a good person because I have bravely stopped eating meat, but internally, in the heart, the person still concerns oneself with other people's choices, criticizing them as good or as bad people continue to be petty about other people's life all the time, then the act of jinjay is not a pure act of devotion. It is true that externally, in no way does the person damage or destroy the body of other people. Internally, however, one may actually be doing harm to another person with his or her thoughts by judging other people about who they are, about who one is, and why one is better than the other. These petty little things are the very acts of exploitation. If the person only does good deeds on the outside, then the acts are not pure and not good. To truly devote oneself to the good and pure act of devotion, as in jinjay, the person must stop negative thoughts from within. Once the heart gets past that point, the person will be able to truly eradicate pain and suffering in the mind and the soul. Externally, eating or not eating meat becomes irrelevant when internally there is no exploitative relationship with other people. Our mind and soul will also become ready to do good deeds, to stop exploiting and taking lives of other living beings. Again, doing good and pure deeds is not about the external dimension of the thoughts of, no, it's not good, it's prohibited, I'm not eating them, I'm not eating meat, I only eat vegetables. If you eat only vegetables, but in your heart you still take the moral high ground, exploiting other people's life, judging other people's life, and saying things like, you are that and I am this all the time, then your act of devotion is not brahmacharya, because it is not an act of pure devotion. The true good deeds come from within. If the heart is good, then the scene observed will become brahmacharya. If inside our hearts we filter out the bad and negative things and arrive at a point where we do not want to and do not exploit other people in any way, not with words and not with thoughts, then our body will also cooperate by exploiting no further. This is because our physical acts and words are the working of our hearts, or the internal emotions and thoughts. So if we become peaceful and still internally, on the outside, seen will be. And there will be not 5 moral precepts, 8 moral precepts, 10 moral precepts, 227 moral precepts, 331 moral precepts, but the ultimate, seen brahmacharya of the samsara. No soul will be affected any further from our thoughts. Even the current of feelings, emotions going outwardly that may hurt someone or something will also disappear. There will be no mental conditions, no emotion whatsoever that might harm, hurt, or undermine other people's hearts and minds. It is not about words or actions, but our minds. The mind will filter the negativities itself if we set our hearts and minds not to be concerned with or over anything that arises in our hearts. Then the heart will filter out, cut short and put out the fire that used to be burning, even if we try to let ourselves go with the current of emotions and feelings. And no matter how much we enjoy the feelings that rise up in our hearts, if they do not correspond to the ultimate truth of life or the ultimate truth of nature, then they are mere currents, mere feelings and emotions that might be taking advantage of other souls. However, if the mind is aligned well with the ultimate truth, the bad thoughts and negativities will be cut out. The person will feel inhibited and will not have the desire to say or do things that contradict the ultimate truth. The mind will cut out and prevent itself from doing bad karma, from doing harm to other living beings. The mind will be working all on its own. This is why Sajatam, ultimate truth, Logotaratham, Dharma, which releases one from the world, and Nirvana are all filtering systems. Once they are achieved as the organs of our minds and souls, the mind will be able to cut out bad things and negativities. Thinking will be about thinking good things, and talking will be about talking good things, and all actions will also be good. Hence, in conclusion, seeing is about not exploiting or taking advantage of others. The conclusion for Dharma is detachment. Some people comply with the seen, presenting themselves as good, beautiful, and morally admirable. However, in their hearts, they become deeply attached to seen, which contradicts the truth of Dharma, which is about detachment or not being attached to anything. Seen is a crucial part of Dharma. When inside our hearts, we can see and realize the transitoriness and the impermanence of all things, and be able to let go or let be, and to put out the fire of burning desires. Dharma will be lit up and shine brightly inside our hearts, and there will be seen. There is not a person who complies with the ultimate truth of life, or Sajatam, who would chase other people around with a gun. If the other individual swears and talks bad, the trained mind of the person will automatically switch off the burning hostility or the desires to respond aggressively or antagonistically. There will be no feelings, no discontents, dissatisfaction, or unhappiness. The person will feel no urge to respond verbally. Quarrels, bickering, or physical harm will not occur. There will be no exploitation. No one is taking advantage of others when everything equals to letting go and keeping the calm and peacefulness of the mind. There will be no conflict, dispute, or disagreement. There will be no grudge to hold by one against the other. When there is no violation, all will be safe and well. There will be no violation of seen. There will be no violation of Dharma. And there will be no silap padbramat, or the act of adhering only to habits and practices without any thinking whatsoever. This is the ultimate. most reasonable, and most noble aim of Buddhism. This is the ultimate peace and serenity of seeing. This is the ultimate realization of normalcy, the true meaning of seeing. Hence, it is not only about observing the moral precepts, it is rather about paying attention and obtaining the true understanding and essence of seeing. Only then can everything be in seeing. Only then can everything be normal and peaceful.